Kalau plus ada dari terus Take
The voice coming better now? Okay, so if the voice is little better now, then I guess can keep the laptop closer to ourselves, and then possibly it should work. तो इस बार माइक नहीं है ना, उसकी ऐसे दिक्कत हो रही है. Sir, I think हेडसेट लगा के बोलेंगे तो बेटर रहेगा. हाँ, अगर आप उसको लगा के अपने लैपटॉप में लैप रख लेंगे, दैट शुड बी फाइन. हाँ हाँ, चेक में लगा देते हैं. हाँ, पहले एक पुराना वाला करते थे, लंबा सा होता था. Is audio clear now? Okay. Yeah. तो सर आई थिंक आप इसी से हिंदी वाला अपलोड कर दो. नहीं नहीं सर, आप इसी से पढ़ के आप बोल दीजिए. हाँ, वो देख लेंगे ना. ये है ना, इसको सामने रख लेता हूँ. So we'll study the Sutta Nipata, chapter 5.13. Sorry about sound because we are away and I didn't bring the mic today. We are away in Yamunanagar, searching for land for the monastery. Hopefully this time we'll succeed. So this is the chapter 5.13, Udaya's question. So you remember those 16 disciples of that old Brahman. So this is the 13th disciple who is asking questions. So in Pali it is Udaya Manava Kucham, it's the young Brahman Udaya's questions. So Jhaim Viraja Mas. अब ठीक रहेगा, अब ठीक है. Jhaim Virajamasinam Kathakachim Anasavam Paragum Sabbadhammanam Athipanhena Agamam Anya Vimokham Pabruhi Avidya Pabhedanam. So his first three stanzas are basically praise of the Buddha. Jhayam, जो ध्यान कर रहे हैं, विरजम आसीनम, free from all, विरज means without any defilement, रज जिसमें नहीं है, आसीनम, who is sitting free from all defilements. कथकिच्चम, जो करने को था वो सब कर चुके हैं, कथकृत कृत्य कहा था ना. So one who has done whatever had to be done. Anasavam, who is free from all asavas. Paragum, who has crossed over, who has Sabba Dhammanam, who has accomplished all the Dhamma, जितने भी चीजें करने योग्य हैं सब कर दी हैं, पार हो गए हैं. Athipanhena Agamam, and who is have come here with a question. Anya Vimokham Pabruhi, please tell me how to get that knowledge. Tell me that knowledge which Vimokham means which frees, जिससे हमें मोक्ष मिलता है, ऐसी knowledge हमें बताइए. अविद्याय प्रभेदनम, which जो भेदन करे अविद्या का. So the one, please tell me the knowledge that frees and removes the ignorance. So this is the basic question. Tell me the knowledge that frees and how to remove the ignorance. And initial part was veneration of the Buddha. So we can read the next question. Pahanam kam chandam Domanasa Chubahum Tisa Cha Panudanam Kuchuchanam Nirvanam Nivarana. पहानम काम छंदानम, जो काम छंद जो होता है हमारी एक निवरण है ना, उसको जिसने हटा दिया है. दो मनस्य को हटा दिया, ग्रीफ को. च उभयम, चुभयम जो है ना, च प्लस उभयम, उभय मीन्स दोनों को. He was driven away the both दो मनस्य एंड काम छंद. थिनस्य, थिन मिद होता है ना, जिसने थिन को भी, स्लॉथ को भी हटा दिया है. पन उदानम, कुकुच्चनम, कुकुच्चा जो रेस्टलेसनेस है, जो हमारे सारे वो निवरण है ना, तो ये सारे निवरण जिसने हटा दिए हैं. तो दिस इज व्हाट द लॉर्ड टेल्स हिम, दैट जो तुमने क्वेश्चन पूछा ना, नॉलेज दैट फ्रीज एंड हाउ टू रिमूव इग्नोरेंस. सो लॉर्ड इज टेलिंग उदया, यू शुड लीव बोथ द कामछंद एंड द ग्रीफ एंड ड्राइव अवे स्लॉथ एंड वर्ड ऑफ रेस्टलेसनेस. कम ये किधर आ गया. उपेक्षा सती संशुद्धम धम्मत का पुरे जावम धम्म तक पुरे. अन्य विमोक्षम पब्रूमि अविद्या पभेदानम. जो उनके प्रश्न थे उसी के शब्द इन्होंने, है ना, यू कैन सी सेम वर्ड्स ही हैज यूज्ड. अन्य विमोक्षम पब्रूमि, वो पूछा था तो वो कह रहे उसी को मैं अन्य विमोख, मतलब अन्य मीन्स नॉलेज, ज्ञान से जो लिबरेशन है. और क्या पूछा था, अविद्या प्रभेदनम, दैट डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ इग्नोरेंस. दिस इज व्हाट आई कॉल एज डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ इग्नोरेंस, व्हिच इज उपेक्षा सती संशुद्धम. सती और उपेक्षा से जो शुद्ध है, देन हुज प्योरिटी इज परफेक्ट एंड माइंडफुलनेस बैलेंस्ड. धम्म तक का पुरेजोम, एंड इट इज प्रिसीडेड बाय धम्म तक का, अनलाइज दी, उसके बारे में तर्क किया हुआ है धम्म के बारे में. was understood the Dhamma by reasoning. So the purity of perfect balanced mindfulness and preceded by reasoning on Dhamma, that is the liberation. That is what I call the knowledge which liberates and breaks the ignorance, destroys the ignorance. Then they ask another question. Kimsu sanyojano loko kimsu tasya vicharanam kissasya vipahenana nirmanam iti uchyati. So किमसु संयोजन, संयोजन मीन्स फटर जो है ना, जो क्या है इस संसार में लोगों को इस लोक में बॉन्डेज क्या है, व्हाट इज द फटर, किमसु तस्य विचारणम, एंड व्हाट इज द वॉन्डरिंग ऑफ द, व्हाट कॉजेज द वॉन्डरिंग, इस संसार में लोग वॉन्डरिंग किस तरह से क्यों होती है, किससे विपायनेना, एंड बाय व्हाट कैन वी गिव अप व्हाट ऑल दिस, एंड निब्बानम इति उच्यते, मतलब किसको छोड़ने से निब्बान कहा जाता है, हाउ बाय अबंडनिंग व्हाट डज वन फाइंड द निब्बाना. नंदनी समयोजनो लोको विताकस्स विचारणम तन्ह्या विपप्पेन निब्बानम इति उच्यते. ब्यूटीफुल ना. नंदी संयोजनो लोको, इस संसार में जो संयोजन है, फैटर है, इट इज डिलाइट. नंदी मीन्स डिलाइट. सो डिलाइट इन दिस वर्ल्ड इज द फैटर. वितक्कस्य विचारणम, वितक्क में जो थिंकिंग है, दैट इज द व्हाट इज द कॉज ऑफ वॉन्डरिंग. मिस्टर वी हैव बीन वॉन्डरिंग यस्टरडे. वितक्कस्य विचारणम. तन्हाय विपहनेन, बाय अबंडनिंग तन्हा, विपहनेन मीन्स बाय पहान करना, बाय अबंडनिंग तन्हा निब्बानम इति उच्यते, उसी को निब्बान कहा जाता है. इति उच्यते मीन्स उसी को निर्वाण कहा जाता है, जो तन्हा को प्रहान कर दे. कथम सत्तस्सा चरतो विज्ञानम उपारुज्यति भगवंतम पुत्थुमागम्मा तम सुनोमा वच्चोतवा. कथम सत्तस्सा चरतो, अब सवाल आ गया फिर से. हाँ,
सती सतस मतलब जो सती में सती है,
so where is there sati, katham is where, how
does the सतस्य चरतो, जो माइंड को जो वॉन्डरर है, चरतो वॉन्डरर है, हाउ डज दी सतस्य चरतो, जो सतीमान वॉन्डरर है, माइंडफुल वॉन्डरर, हाउ डज द माइंडफुल वॉन्डरर विज्ञानम उपरुज्यति, ब्रिंग अबाउट सेसेशन ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस. सो नाउ ही इज गोइंग बैक, ही इज गोइंग टू दैट लेवल. भगवंतम पुत्थुमागम, मैं भगवान से पूछने के लिए आया हूँ. तम सुनो मां वचोतवा, तो मैं आपके शब्द सुनना चाहता हूँ इसके बारे में. तम सुनोगा, आप सुनना चाहता हूँ, वचोतवा, आपका वचन सुनना चाहता हूँ. सो आई हैव कम टू आस्क यू एंड हियर योर वर्ड्स ऑन हाउ डज द माइंडफुल वॉन्डरर ब्रिंग अबाउट सेसेशन ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस. विज्ञानम उपरुज्यति. अजतंच बाधीयत बहिध च वेदनम नदतो न अभिनंदतो एवं सतासा चरतो विज्ञानम उपरुज्यति. बहिर्दाच, अंदर और बाहर, वेदना नाभिनंदतो, who does not relish in the feelings both inwardly and outwardly. Evam satasya charato, in this way the one who is mindfully wandering, vijnanam uparajyati, the consciousness also ceases to be. So this is the end of this Udayamana Upacha. So the key thing you may recall in all these, key thing is not taking delight in the world, not giving up tanha for the world, which is same thing as not taking delight in the world.
Good. So I hope the word is audible. Is the voice audible now?
I hope so. आपने भेजा नहीं था, भेज दिया, बनाया नहीं। Try to go again. Title देगा, try to go again.
So these are the today we have two small Dhamma talks from Ajahn, and the first one is living with the cobra. On to slide number 2. So Ajahn starts with this simile of comparing cobra with the mental moods. He says that as the cobra is a poisonous snake and it can bite us, and so is our moods, the various moods, the mood of liking, the mood of disliking. Essentially, they are the poisons which can bite us. And the reference in which the Ajahn mentions that the moods are poisonous is that because we grasp them and we take them as something happening to us, and when we act according to those moods, when we are when the mood is little off, then we continue with the suffering and displeasure, and that the mood is uh, uh, in pleasure mode, then the mind relishes, the body relishes that mood. And then Ajahn mentions that the way you see a cobra, we don't interfere with it, and it simply goes on its way. And same way, we should our attitude should be that like you liking or disliking, the same way you don't interfere with your mental liking or disliking, in the sense that there is a mindfulness which sees that in the mind there is liking or disliking. Mindfulness of the clear comprehension. And coming to slide number 3, activity of the mind. And Ajahn explains that uh, the activity of mind is essentially the arising and passing away. And in terms of explanation in terms of Dhamma, it's birth and death. And that's essentially everything to it. Everything arises and passes away. And when suffering arises in the mind, it will come and then it pass away. Then again, the suffering will able to arise, and again it will pass away. So again, the message which Jancha tries to send across is that to be able to constantly know this arising and passing away of the mental contents, and then you will see that is really all that is. Coming to slide number 3, discussion. So the focus comes is that when we have this clear comprehension of arising and passing away, our mind becomes tranquil, and this tranquility will leads towards dispassion towards the world. And then, as the Janja says, that mind arrives at letting go, letting everything go according to its own nature. That's the very beautiful definition which Janja says. And again, he says that we don't identify with what is being ours. And likewise with this, whenever there is happiness, we don't identify grasping it something as ours. And likewise when there is this dissatisfaction and happiness, we don't identify. So when there is this gap, that's where the discussion arises. That's the message which Ganja sends across. Coming to fire assembly, slide number 5. I think this is one of the very famous sutta of the Buddha also, and the message which Ajahn says that enlightenment is like extinguishing of the fire, and in the original sutta, probably the explanation was not there, which Ajahn sends across very beautifully, in the sense that when the fire is there, the place is hot, but as soon as the fire is extinguished, that place becomes cold. So he says that wherever there is fire, wherever there is heat, that place can become cool. And now the Ajancha equates the same thing with enlightenment and delusion. By delusion, he means is samsara. He says that in the same samsara and enlightenment, they are again both like hot and cold. So I'll just read. When the heat arises, the coolness disappears, and when there is coolness, there is no more heat. In the same way, Nibbana and Samsara are same. When the internal fire of sensual craving, aversion, and delusion are put out, there is coolness also. So again, I think the Jancha sends across this message that when this attachment and when there is this passion which arises, then the tranquility which comes in the mind is the coolness which Jancha is trying to send across the message. Again, in slide number 6, Ajahn tries to further explain what enlightenment is. He says that enlightenment is an ever-ending, enlightenment is an ending of the ever-turning, ever-changing, and ending of greed. aversion, delusion in our minds. It's beyond both happiness and suffering. It's a perfect peace. Yeah. So I think this was the first short uh, uh, discourse from Ajahn. Coming to second discourse, the gift of Dhamma. And this uh, talk was given to the parents of a monk, and uh, they had come from France, and the uh, discourse starts with that in the France there is a lot of craving and running around the pleasures and worldly things. There is hardly any Dhamma here. So what he'll request is to take this gift of Dhamma back to France. And essentially, we can see is that it's not particularly about any particular nation. It's about all of us where in our daily life more and more craving and greed are taking hold of. So Jancha starts this discourse with explaining what the Dhamma is, and essentially Dhamma is something which cuts through our problems, difficulties, and gradually reducing them to nothing. It's just not. It's just not that in our daily life problems will not come or there will be not difficulties. It is that difficulties and problems can come and go, but there is a one which will be able to see them in a much more tranquil way, in the sense that there is this awareness which there is Dhamma in the mind. And again, the message which this is a small comparison between problems and the wisdom. What Ajahn says is that problems are common to all of us, whether living in Thailand or in other countries. And if we don't know how to solve them, it will always lead us to suffering and distress. And to really able to solve the problem is to have this cultivation of the wisdom and this training of mind. That's the message. In slide number 10, Avancha gives this simile of rainwater and the mind. He says that as the rainwater which comes down is very pure, it's the natural state. But suppose in this rainwater, if we add some color, if we add a green color in the rainwater, the water becomes green. And similarly, if we add a yellow color in the rainwater, the water becomes yellow. And then he equates this rainwater with the mind and the mental impressions. The mental impressions essentially becomes the color, and the mind is equated with rainwater. Essentially, the message is that mind is pure like rainwater if it is let alone. But what happens is that these mental impressions come, and these mental impressions give this color to the mind, and then mind becomes cloudy with this depending upon the mental impressions. The mind reacts similarly when a comfortable mental impression drops into the mind. The mind is comfortable when the mind
When the mental impression is uncomfortable, the mind is uncomfortable. The mind becomes cloudy, just like a colored water. Mind becomes confused only because it perceives mental impression. It gets lost in its mood. That's the simply uh, between rainwater and the mind. And in the next slide, again there is this assembly between a leaf and the mind. Essentially, if there is a leaf, if there is no wind blowing, the leaf is still. But as soon as the wind blows, the leaf flaps and flutters. And the same way is with the mind. When the mind contacts the mental impression, it too again flaps and flutters according to the nature of the mental impression. And again, if our knowledge of Dhamma is less, the mind will continuously pass from one mental impression to the next mental impression, and the more the mind will feel happy, and more the mind will feel suffer, and it will lead to more of confusion. But as soon as there is this disassociation from attaching to these mental impressions, there is knowing of these mental impressions, that's where we can bring the mind to stillness. In slide number 11, slide number 12, what Ajahn Chah explains is that this continuous pursuing of mental impressions essentially is what makes people neurotic. We get attached to our perceptions, and then we take them very strongly. As the Jansa says, that people just follow their moods and don't know how to look at their own minds. And again, he says that a mind which is not looked after is like a child which is not under the discipline of the parents. And as an orphan, there is no refuge, and without a refuge, the mind becomes very insecure. So that's where the Ajahn Chah sends across the message that there needs to be training and maturation of the character with the right understanding to bring about the wisdom. So in the next two slides, Ajahn Chah tries to bring across this message more clearly, that what mind is and what a mental object are, and how the feelings arise. And with respect to the mind, the message which Ajahn Chah says is that mind is just mind. It's not any physical substance like body. It doesn't have any form. It just experiences a mental activity. That's it. And then Ajahn Chah brings out this distinction that mind is not the mental object. The mental objects are the ones which which arise in the mind, and when the mind takes hold of those mental objects, there is this contact which happens, and that contact gives rise to feelings, and these feelings then become are experienced as good or bad, cold or hot, of all different kinds. And if we don't have the wisdom, then these feelings are grasped, and craving, the wanting, and tanha arises. And without the wisdom to deal with these feelings, the mind is troubled. And then Ajahn Chah
gives this message that meditation is a way of developing the mind, so that it may be a base for arising of wisdom. And then Ajahn Chah in the discourse gives various meditation techniques. He first starts with Anapanasati. He explains that to begin with, if one has to observe the breath, one at the in breath, one can observe the breath at first at the tip of the nose, then at the chest portion, and then at the abdomen, and same during the exhaling at in the reverse. And following that practice, one the sharpness of the mind, concentration of the mind can be improved. And it says that once you develop this technique, then you can uh, uh, focus your mind towards at the tip of the nose, the standard Anapanasati practice, which we all know. And he says that once the mind is uh, calm and concentrated, then we can do this vipassana practice. And uh, he gives this message of this vipassana, this insight, meditation, this uh, way of investigation. And essentially, he says that when you do scanning of your body from top of your head to your toes, from the toes to the top of your head, you can essentially see your body as it is. You can see your body here, you can see the skin here, the nails, the teeth, the skin. You can see the impermanence in them. And again, that's one way he brings about this way of seeing. But additionally, as mentioned in various suttas, he says that we can see that our body is not solid. It's made up of earth element, it's made up of water element, and it's made up of, again, wind element and the heat element and fire element. So this is again the reflection to develop as a vipassana inside meditation. And essentially, this all insight is to come to the experience that mind is an uncertain thing, the body is an uncertain thing. When the mind sees this, it will get rid of the attachment which holds the I, which holds that I am beautiful, I am good, I am evil, I am suffering, I have, I this, or I that. You will experience a state of unity, for you will have seen that all of the mankind is basically the same. There is no I. There are only elements. Essentially, what I could understand was that following this vipassana is not really only about seeing impermanence in the body. It's also to be able to come to see non-self, see that whatever is happening in your body, in your mind, bring about the disassociation with it. And then he gives this definition of nibbida. When you contemplate any impermanence and suffering and non-self, there will be no longer clinging to self. A being, I or he or she, the mind which sees this will give rise to nibbida, disenchantment and dispassion. The mind then stops. The mind is Dhamma. Greed, hatred, delusion will then diminish and recede. little by little, until finally there is only mind, just the pure mind. That is the, and this is what he explains as practicing meditation essentially is, finally is. Okay, that was the last slide. Maybe we can take questions now. Questions? So, sir, we have Amit online, Bharti ji online, Deepti online, Rajesh, Silesh, and Sudhakar online. And I think Srinivas ji was online for some time, but probably he left early. And there are no questions from Sudhakar, Silesh, Deepti. Okay.
I wanted to play this since we discussed about the cooling.
So we discussed about in the first discourse. इसको चलाना पड़ेगा. We listened in the first discourse about Nibbana being cooling and extinguishing of fire, and Deepak also mentioned about fire sermon. So I have a chanting of fire sermon with me by Venerable Sadhvatissa, and it's so simple and so powerful that I think we can all understand. So we'll play it for some time. It'll be beautiful.
Samyutta Nikaya 1.3.6 Aditta Pariyaya Suttam Ekang Samayam Bhagava Gayayam Viharati Gayasise Sandhing Bhikkhu Sahasena Tatriko Bhagava Bhikkhu Amantesi Sabbang Bhikkave Adittam Kincha Bhikkave Sabbang Adittam Chakkhung Bhikkave Adittam.
Aditya means burning.
Aditta Chakku Vinyanam Adittam Chakku Samphasso Aditto Yam Pidam Chakku Samphassa Paccaya Panjati Vedaitam Sukhang va dukkhang va adukkham sukhang va tampi adittam kena adittam adittam ragangina dosangina moagina Adittam jatiya jara maranena Sokhe parideve dukkhe domanasse Upayase adittanti vadami.
So I hope you understood. I'll just translate the first part, then we can listen to the others also. So he's saying that the eye is burning, all sense organs don't burn. Ear is burning, nose is burning, body is burning, and the consciousness which arises at each of these sense doors is also burning, and the contact which happens at each sense doors, that also is burning. The Vedana, the feeling which arises at each sense door is also burning, and says, by what is it burning? It is burning by Rag Agni, by the fire of craving, by the fire of hatred, aversion, by the fire of delusion, by the fire of rebirth again and again, by the fire of death, fire of sorrow, suffering, lamentation, and anxiety. So this is the fire by which the whole of our sense organs are burning, the consciousness which arises at them is burning, the feelings which arise at them are burning, and it goes on and on. So it's very beautiful. Let's listen for a few more minutes.
Sotang adittang saddha adittang Sota viññānaṁ āditthaṁ Sota samphasso āditto Yampidang sota samphassa paccaya uppajjati vedayitam Sukham va dukkham va adukkham sukham va Tampi aditthaṁ Kena aditthaṁ Aditthaṁ rāgaggina dosaggina mohaggina Aditthaṁ jatiya jara maranena Sokhe paride dukkhe domanasse upayase adittanti vadami ghanam adittam gandha aditta gana viññānaṁ adittam Gāna samphasso āditto Yampidang gāna samphassa paccaya uppajjati vedayitam Sukham va dukkham va adukkham sukham va Tampi aditthaṁ Kena aditthaṁ Aditthaṁ rāgaggina dosaggina mohaggina Aditthaṁ jatiya jara maranena Sokhe paride dukkhe domanasse Upayase adittanti vadami Jiva aditta rasa aditta Jiva viññānaṁ adittam Jiva samphasso aditto Yampidang jiva samphassa paccaya uppajjati vedayitam Sukham va dukkham va adukkham sukham va Tampi aditthaṁ Kena aditthaṁ Aditthaṁ rāgaggina dosaggina mohaggina Aditthaṁ jatiya jara maranena සෝකේ පරිදේ දුක්ඛේ දෝමනස්සේ උපායාසේ ආදිත්තන්ති වදාමි කායෝ ආදිත්තෝ පොට්ඨබ්බා ආදිත්තා කාය විඤ්ඤාණං ආදිත්තං කාය සම්පස්සෝ ආදිත්තෝ යම්පිදං කාය සම්පස්ස පච්චයා උප්පජ්ජති වේදිතං සුඛං වා දුක්ඛම සුඛං වා තම්පි ආදිත්තං කේන ආදිත්තං ආදිත්තං රාගංගිනා දෝසංගිනා මෝහංගිනා ආදිත්තං ජාතියා ජරා මරණේන සෝකේ පරිදේ දුක්ඛේ දෝමනස්සේ උපායාසේ ආදිත්තන්ති වදාමි මනෝ ආදිත්තෝ ධම්මා ආදිත්තා මනෝ විඤ්ඤාණං ආදිත්තං මනෝ සම්පස්සෝ ආදිත්තෝ මනෝ සම්පස්ස පච්චයා උප්පජ්ජති වේදිතං සුඛං වා දුක්ඛං වා අදුක්ඛම සුඛං වා තම්පි ආදිත්තං කේන ආදිත්තං ආදිත්තං රාගංගිනා දෝසංගිනා මෝහංගිනා ආදිත්තං ජාතියා ජරා මරණේන සෝකේ පරිදේ දුක්ඛේ දෝමනස්සේ උපායාසේ ආදිත්තන්ති වදාමි එවං පස්සම් භික්ඛවේ සුතවා අරිය ශාවකෝ චක්ඛුස්මින් පිනිබ්බින්දති රූපේසු පිනිබ්බින්දති චක්ඛු විඤ්ඤාණේ පිනිබ්බින්දති චක්ඛු සම්පස්සේ පිනිබ්බින්දති යම්පිදං චක්ඛු සම්පස්ස පච්චයා උප්පජ්ජති වේදිතං සුඛං වා දුක්ඛං වා අදුක්ඛම සුඛං වා තස්මින් පිනිබ්බින්දති
Bimbindanti means is just disenchanted with that. So knowing that everything is burning, the person gets disenchanted with everything.
පියාල ජීවහාය පිනිබ්බින්දති රසේසු පිනිබ්බින්දති ජීවහා විඤ්ඤාණේ පිනිබ්බින්දති ජීවහා සම්පස්සේ පිනිබ්බින්දති යම්පිදං ජීවහා සම්පස්ස පච්චයා උප්පජ්ජති වේදිතං සුඛං වා දුක්ඛං වා අදුක්ඛම සුඛං වා තස්මින් පිනිබ්බින්දති පියාල මනස්මින් පිනිබ්බින්දති ධම්මේසු පිනිබ්බින්දති මනෝ විඤ්ඤාණේ පිනිබ්බින්දති මනෝ සම්පස්සේ පස්සේපි නිබ්බින්දති යම්පිදං මනෝ සම්පස්ස පච්චයා uppajjati වේදිතං සුඛං වා දුක්ඛං වා අදුක්ඛම සුඛං වා තස්මින්පි නිබ්බින්දති නිබ්බින්දං විරජ්ජති විරාගා විමුච්ඡති විමුක්තස්මින් විමුක්තමිති ඥානං හෝති කීනා ජාති වසිතං බ්‍රහ්මචරියං කතං කරණීයං නාපරං ඉත්තත.
This is when one is really disenchanted with each and every sense door and the contact and the feelings at that sense door, then true dispassion develops, and if dispassion develops, then he becomes liberated from there, and then he becomes a fully enlightened person.
Ayati pajanati idamacha bhagava atmanati bhikkhu bhagavato bhasitam abhinandunti imasmin cha panaveyakaranasmin bhanyamani tassa bhikkhu sassassa anupadaya asave cittani vimuccin suti aditta pariyaya suttam nitthitang.
This is the end of that sutta. This is the third sutta, third discourse given by the Buddha. First was the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, second the Anattalakkhan Sutta, and third is the Aditya Pariyaya Sutta, or the fire sermon as it is known. And the key thing about it is its simplicity and profundity, and the statement that after the listening to the discourse, those 1,000 monks which were of the other tradition, the fire worshippers, those 1,000 people became arahants, and seem to be the highest number according to all the discourses, by listening to which so many people became arahants. So I like it very much, and I hope you also liked it.
Also, this is question from, there are two questions. पहला question है, why the mind wanders?
Is it the nature of the mind? Yeah, of course, it is the nature of the mind to wander. That's true. Silesh, yeah, it is on YouTube. Yeah.
Maybe you can say a little bit more about the nature of the mind wander, and that it's not something to be considered as a problem or so as I see it, I think accepting the different things that come up in the mind, including wandering or lust, passion, whatever it may be, are now something that we understand to be inherently how the mind is, and of course brought about by causes and conditions, including causes and conditions originating way in the past as well as immediate past. So as I have experienced things, if we make an attempt to not see it as something that's wrong with me, rather see it as inherent nature, and then use Sati Sampajanya to first see it, and then wisdom to bring about Nirodh. I don't know if that helps, but that's my immediate response to what was just said.
In the context of today's discourse, we can see the wandering, whether it is wandering for exact kind of positive thinking or whether it is negative thinking. both of them we take it as cobra and just let it be. Don't try to stop it. You're stopping a cobra is as dangerous as trying to run away from it. Why the consciousness is burning? Yes, so the name of the sutta is Aditya Pariyaya Sutta or Fire Sermon. I think it is written there as Fire Sermon. It is recited by Venerable Saddhatissa. And why is the consciousness burning? Burning meaning it is constantly dissipating, constantly changing, arising, finishing every time. It's not even standing for a millisecond according to Dhamma as you studied. So it's constantly arising and passing away. So if you try to hold on to it in any way, it will burn us. It will create a lot of suffering. And it is burning because of, that also is the beautiful thing, Raga, Gnina, Moha, Gnina, Dosa, Gnina. It's burning because of Raga, Moha, Dosha, and birth, death, arising and falling away again and again, birth, death, then the associated Sok, Paradeva, Dukkha, Domanasa, we recited all of them. So those are all the things that are happening because every moment the consciousness arises, passes away. Even at a gross level we can see it. Sometimes we think, sometimes we see, sometimes we hear, and then we keep on. Sometimes we arouse craving, sometimes we arouse aversion, sometimes we are just totally deluded and keep on suffering. Arpan will share with you about what we did yesterday here.
So we actually had the good fortune to see several additional sites, and without going into the sort of geographical detail of all of them, we are hoping that by 15th we should be able to shortlist and finalize 4 sites. Okay, yeah. We have 4 sites and a few more today. So I think if all of you devote your collective good wishes to the effort, then hopefully by 15th we'll be able to do the shortlisting, and then will come the more difficult task of putting the money together for it and so on and so forth. So very briefly, that's where we are. We had a very intensive, tiring day yesterday, but I think it was really well worth the while. And the more places we see, the more we feel that this is really the right place for this enterprise to happen. So just requesting all of you for your good wishes and for your Maitri to enable this to come to fruition soon.
Thank you. Any comment or suggestion or discussion if you like, you can have.
Sugata is saying, sir, a burning desire to have monastery. There goes Aditam.
I don't think yesterday while we were coming, I had shared with them the words of Ajahn Sumedho given to the monks who, when he was leaving Amravati on a big mission, Ajahn Amro and others were going. So I remember to have heard from Ajahn Amro's discourse that while going everything was prepared and all the effort was done. Ajahn Sumedho said, I hope you are aware that nobody is going anywhere. He said, what is he saying? Nobody is going anywhere. It's only conditions which are changing, so it's okay. So we are quite mindful of that fact. Only conditions changing. If it does to happen, it will happen. If it doesn't, that also is a condition. Doesn't matter. Of course, we have a strong personality with us who is going to make it happen. His name is Hinsam.
So Sudhakar is saying that, but this burning spread the light of wisdom to many.
That is so.
We need your metta, Sudhakar. Metta of everybody. And you can share with us whatever learnings you get from Abhaygiri. So we'll try to learn from that.
Yeah, so I mentioned yesterday to Sir that Rajesh also wants to visit a bakery, and he's coming for a few days to US. And yes, if Rajesh also visits and he comes back with that experience, that we'll have more understanding and knowledge. Good. Any more questions for the day? Bharti, I'm sorry. I think I forgot to inform you that we'll be out of Delhi this time, and
Thanks to her.
yeah. Yeah. So, sir is saying that thanks to you, ma'am is able to join. Yeah, and Bharti is saying it worked well. Okay. And Deepti is saying thank you very much for this session despite having busy days. And Bharti is saying blessing in disguise. Okay, thank you everybody. We'll meet next week. Thank you. Take care.